Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Up Close on METV. I'm Charles Clapsaddle, Station Manager for Manatee Educational Television, and today on Up Close, we're here at the beautiful Manatee Performing Arts Center with two of my favorite people, Janine Witham, the Executive Director of the Manatee Performing Arts Center, and Bob Davis, the President and CEO of the Panda Foundation. Thank you both for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk what I consider about a very important event coming up, breaking down the barriers. And that's going to be here at the Performing Arts Center. Is that correct, Janine?
Yes, Charles. And may I say thank you so much for this opportunity to share this collaborative effort that the Panda Foundation has with the Manatee Players, Inc. and our facility, Manatee Performing Arts Center.
Well, first of all, the Manatee Performing Arts Center is a jewel for the city of Bradenton. It's such a great asset. It's such a wonderful facility, and under your leadership, you've really expanded not only the performing arts portion of what the theater does, but also its outreach into the community, and you're really to be congratulated for that.
Well, thank you. Definitely, it has been a team effort. It has been community driven. We had a vision of just a small group of individuals about 10 years ago of what they wanted to create here on the Riverwalk, and that vision is truly a reality today.
And tell us a little bit, just briefly, about the scope of the theater. You have actually two theaters plus the Kiwanis room upstairs. Give us a little bit about the scope of what the facility offers.
Pretty much everything and anything, from concerts to movies. We have that opportunity for people. Upstairs, we've had gathering spaces from weddings to bar mitzvahs. So an opportunity pretty much for anybody to come enjoy. Two theaters actually reside here in the Performing Arts Center, a traditional stone hall, and then we have our studio space named after the Braden and Kiwanis group, who graciously donated money to make sure that that was outfitted and gives us an opportunity to stretch ourselves a little artistically.
And under the artistic direction of Rick Kirby,
yes,
you have so many great plays that come. How many do you do in a year?
Currently, our resident troupe, the Manatee Players, is performing 14 main stage productions, either in Stone Hall or in Kiwanis Theater. They range from comedies to dramas to full-length musicals to also in our summer program, two full-length children's programs.
And I think that's fabulous what you've done here, and you know the kudos to Rick for putting together such a great team of not only professional actors that bring a lot of dynamics to the performances, but also to your team of designers and musical leaders. It's just a wonderful combination of community people coming together to really make this just a wonderful thing. But if that wasn't enough for you to do, you and under your leadership and vision have kind of determined, you want to outreach into the community, and you've been doing that for a period of time. And one of the key things that you've really done is to look to other groups to see how this facility can help them get their message out. You participated in the Sarasota Film Festival this year. Fortunately, it was a great documentary that was part of that. Do you remember the name of that? It was The Enduring Beauty of Memory. And we were very fortunate that you hosted that program in this beautiful facility. But today we want to talk about what Bob and the Panda Foundation have done, which I think is a really unique opportunity for the theater and the community to kind of come together to tell a remarkable story. So I'm going to ask Bob, first of all, tell us the name of the program that you're going to be hosting, and that's coming up this Tuesday, is that correct?
No, it's coming up on the 22nd of February, a Sunday. It is a program we've dubbed the Breaking the Barriers exhibit. The exhibit itself, as you can see behind us, this is 1/4 of the exhibit that you're looking at, chronicles the history of blacks in tennis from the late 1890s. Most people don't know, and even accomplished tennis players don't know, that prior to the 1950s, blacks were not permitted to play tennis within the United States Lawn Tennis Association guidelines. And as a consequence, elite blacks back in the early 20th century created their own organization and began to have inter-club tournaments amongst one another, pretty much emulating what the white aristocracy had done. And one of the first to break through that color barrier due to some insistence on some of her fellow players was Althea Gibson.
And that's what the documentary is about the featuring Althea Gibson, who not only in the world of tennis, but in the world of sports, is really kind of an iconic figure for everyone to admire and to be inspired by. But before we go any further, I'd like for you to just give us a little background about how what the Panda Foundation is and how it outreaches into the community.
Well, the Panda Foundation is a 501c3 not-for-profit foundation that I created back in the year 2000. And our mission is to teach tennis and change lives. That is our motto, that is what we do. We go in elementary schools primarily for 10 and under children and try to give them health education, how to care for their teeth, how to stay off of drugs, how to stay in school, the importance of staying in school and going on to college, self-respect. And we do that through the vehicle of tennis, which is something that I had done in prior years, leading the Arthur Ashe Safe Passage Foundation and the Ashe Voluntary Cities Tennis Program. Across the country, we taught tennis to 20,000 children, many of them who went on to college, people who were lost in the perils of inner city life. And many of them are still teaching tennis today in those inner cities.
And it's a great opportunity that the Panda Foundation does with all of its community partners to kind of develop not only the game of tennis, but also to develop those character traits that can help young people in the years to come. For those that don't know, that Bob has a really rich history in the world of tennis. Not only is he featured on this mural here, which we'll do a little highlight of later. But you've also, been involved with the Arthur Ashe Foundation for many, many years. And tell us, what was the key thing in being involved with such another iconic figure as Arthur Ashe?
Well, like many people, Arthur had a vision for giving back. Nick Bollettieri as well had that same vision, and together they created the Arthur Ashe Safe Passage Foundation, which went into the worst communities in the inner cities to offer help. As an example, in the first year in our first program in Newark, New Jersey, we took a gallon jar, mayonnaise jar, and filled it with bullet casings. That is the kind of problems that existed in those inner cities, and some of the ones that we had to address. And that very first day, when Arthur and Nick and I went out on those courts in Newark with the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Arthur turned to Nick and said, "Nick, are we going to stay?" And the answer was absolutely.
And that's tremendous. And I think that kind of heritage that you learned and you experienced through the Ashe Foundation has kind of followed you into the Panda Foundation to continue those efforts to reach as many young people as possible. And for this special program that you're doing, which kind of is a documentary, full-length documentary about Althea Gibson, and the name of the documentary is?
Althea.
Althea, which is, simple, eloquent name. When Bob approached you about having this as an opportunity, tell us, Janine, a little bit about how this fit into the larger mission of what the Manatee Performing Arts Center does.
It was right in line with strategically what we were trying to accomplish and even plan for next year. So when Bob and Dr. Melvin Price came to me with this opportunity to show just a documentary, actually the minds got together, sat around a table and said, how can we do more? How can we educate more of the importance of not just historically what has happened, and remind people that there was a time when people, for whatever reasons, couldn't do what they really wanted to do or what they did best. And not only does this give us an opportunity to remember those things in Black History Month, but it gives us an opportunity to reach out to our community and look for our own barrier breakers. And so right in line with our vision for outreach for the Manatee Performing Arts Center, we saw an opportunity to say, let's open our doors to those people who have broken barriers in our community and give them a stage in order to share their stories so that other generations won't forget them.
And I think that's important too. I think the audience that you'll have for the actual documentary will be thrilled and inspired by the full-length documentary. But at the same time, if that wasn't enough, you're also offering this additional input from the community by your barrier breakers. And I want to take a minute about that, because that's going to be a full discussion after the film about people in our community who have made a difference. And Bob, who have you put together as part of this outstanding panel?
Well, we do have an outstanding panel. We have Representative Darrell Roussan, who was the first prosecutor in Pinellas County, who is now a state representative out of Clearwater, I believe. We also have Henry Lawrence, who was a two-time Pro Bowl.
Three-time Pro Bowl, two-time Pro Bowl, three-time Super Bowl.
Two-time Pro Bowl, three-time Super Bowl champion, who also broke the educational barriers back in 1969 when the Manatee County school system was integrated. We have Raymond Bellamy. Raymond Bellamy was the first black to play tennis for the University of Miami and is in the University of Miami Hall of Fame.
Now, he was drafted to go, signed by the University of Miami, and he came out of the same school that Henry did, which
Correct.
was Lincoln Memorial High School, and became the first black to enroll at a pretty much predominantly white school as a first black athlete. A tremendous icon and sports figure.
We also have Coach Eddie Shannon, who is an icon in Manatee County as well, very much a part of the breaking the segregation barrier in the school system, but also happened to coach Althea Gibson at FAMU, which is also, by coincidence, Henry Lawrence's school.
What a remark! And then the tie-in there is that Coach Shannon was the coach at Lincoln Memorial High School, who and part of his legacy was, of course, Henry's success and Ray Bellamy's success. So Coach Shannon actually coached Althea.
He did.
What a remarkable story is that?
That is quite a remarkable story. We have not only, we also have Sherry Price, Dr. Melvin Price's daughters. Both his daughters were the first blacks to play for the University of Southern Mississippi. Sherry, who will be here on that evening, not only was the #1 player in singles and in doubles for 4 years, but led them to another #1 ranking. First two blacks to play for the University of Southern Mississippi.
And I think that's a tremendous panel right there, to have that kind of leaders in the community. And as Janine said, they are indeed barrier breakers, and I think it's going to be a very inspirational discussion after the film is over, to see how people indeed have made a difference in time. And this was only a few short years ago. You were talking the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. People think that's ancient history. It's not really. So Janine, one of the things that came to my mind as this was being put together is that your outreach and your vision for the theater continues to expand. How can we be a better asset? What else can we do? How can we draw community people in? Those were the kind of key things that's been part of your strategic vision for a long time. And why is it important to have that kind of vision, to pull the community in, to do things such as the Althea documentary, the Breaking the Barriers discussion?
In a few short words, because it's the right thing to do. We really have built a team here at the Manatee Performing Arts Center that defines entertainment a little differently than historically it might have been. Many people enjoy being entertained in different ways. And what we've had the opportunity to do is to allow people to come in and be entertained either through a film or through a concert or through a ballet, and learn something, educate themselves, inspire them to either be better citizens, to go out and tell other people about how they felt. But truly it's about the emotional experience that we want to really get outside of our walls and make people feel good about themselves again and what our community's doing. So our vision really does try to broaden the reach because we want more people to feel good. People who feel good create stronger communities. Stronger communities create better opportunities for everyone.
And I think that's all what the Manatee Performing Arts Center is all about. And I can see, and Bob, please jump in, this piece, the documentary and the follow-up discussion, would be really important for young people and their families to be able to attend, not only to see local legends, but also to be inspired by the efforts of someone like Althea, who made such inroads in the tennis world.
Well, Althea was also a role model in many different ways. I mean, talk about second chances. Althea didn't graduate from high school till she was 22. She graduated from college when she was 27. Althea grew up in a very rough and tough community. And that rough and tough introduced her to how she was going to live the rest of her life. And she was a tough tennis player. And I've hit against her, so I can tell you, she was one tough woman. And it was a pleasure to see her recognized by this video. I contributed to the production of the video, and it is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful thing.
Well, and I think there, so many people would be, well advised to be able to attend. First of all, let's go back a moment. And when is the screening, and when can people get tickets, and how can they get tickets? Janine?
Well, tickets are available now. They can call our box office, and we have people standing by on phone. From the luxury of their home, they can order online at manateeperformingartscenter.com, and they'll go to Breaking the Barriers. The evening's not just about the panel discussion and the film, but there's an opportunity for a meet and greet with our barrier breakers beforehand, where we'll have an opportunity for some appetizers and people to mix and mingle, be able to meet up close our personal barrier breakers that will be here that evening, but also they'll be able to enjoy the exhibit and actually read the history of just a small portion of some of the opportunities that people had back then to make a change.
And just again, we're going to put that information up on the screen so people can go and find tickets. What's the phone number where people can reach it here?
748-5875.
I want to take a few minutes, if we could, to talk about this wonderful exhibit that's part of the theater here. And as we look upon it today, there's, black tennis has a really rich history. Dating back to the earliest days of the century, when people couldn't play on white courts, they couldn't even participate in any of the activities. But the black community came together, and they became really very proficient at the game of tennis, and they created their own history. Tell us a little bit about what people will see on this exhibit.
Well, the Breaking the Barriers exhibit chronicles the beginning of tennis, which is about 1898. Booker T. Washington, for those historians, created one of the first tennis programs at colleges at Tuskegee University. The American Tennis Association was formed in 1916, and it is the oldest black sports organization in America. Right, even as we stand today, it's about to celebrate its centennial anniversary in next year. That organization still exists and is building a new tennis complex in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which will be its home. And that grand opening is scheduled for the first the centennial national tournament in 2017.
Well, as you look around here, I mean, there's some wonderful photos that, so people can take a look at this and see the growth and the progression. And right behind us, there's a quote from Bob's brother, Bill Davis, who is the former ATA president, which is very significant. And if I may, I wanted to just take a moment and read that. I'm sure that black players today don't know much about the history of black tennis. They haven't witnessed the hardships, the dangers, the anguish. The baton has been passed, but they don't know where the baton came from. And I think by seeing this exhibit and participating perhaps in the discussion, maybe that rich history can come out.
Well, we're hoping so. The current president of the United States Tennis Association, Katrina Adams, visited a club in Los Angeles 2 years ago. And she asked a group of children, how many of you know who Arthur Ashe is? Raise your hands. Not one hand was raised. So it's very easy to forget your history, and that history is so important. The people that broke these barriers, like Althea, and like other people, other whites who fought to get blacks the opportunity to play. We really want to recognize them too, and they are recognized on this Breaking the Barriers exhibit.
And these exhibits are out throughout the hall of the theater, so people can go from one hallway to the other and see and kind of get a different feel for as progression. And for those of you who are watching, there's a picture of a young Bob Davis. I think he was like around 12 or something, but with his brother, who were the doubles champions of the ATA for a period of time. And it's a really significant achievement for Bob to achieve. So we're kind of winding down here a little bit, and I want to go through a couple of other items. Janine, one of the key things that you've talked about, not only from your artistic but the entertainment thing, is the great community support that you've enjoyed here at the Manatee Performing Arts Center. Performances are sold out. You have such a rich variety of different programs that people come in. And that's part of it. That's your base. That's your cornerstone. But you continue to find new ways, new and innovative ways, for the theater to outreach. And you're really to be applauded for that. What other things do you see on the horizon that can kind of follow breaking the barriers?
Manatee Art and Lecture Series.
Tell us a little bit about that.
The partnership that we have with the Manatee Library Foundation, where we're bringing in currently, this up-and-coming season, we'll be bringing in Florida-based authors to share the stories of not only what they're writing, but the process in which they write, and sharing that with an audience. You never know who may be inspired to be that next New York bestseller.
That's a great idea.
And
you have several authors that are participating?
We have 3 that are up and coming. All that information, I'm looking forward personally to Lisa Unger. But those who are avid HBO watchers will enjoy the author who wrote the Dexter series. Will be here during the month of July. And so again, providing not just traditional theater, but an opportunity for somebody to take the stage, share a story, and inspire. Next year, we're looking forward to a really unique program that we're going to be launching. And actually, in a soft way, we're launching it right now through Breaking the Barriers, where we've chosen social relevant, inspired information, I guess, but from humane, animal rights and activism to sharing the story of To Kill a Mockingbird. We'll be partnering with nonprofits and collaborating with those who really do meet the needs of those social, relevant, important issues that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so actually the partnership with the Panda Foundation is the springboard and the launch. I don't want to say that we're learning all the right things and the wrong things to do, but working with Mr. Davis has been wonderful because it's given us insight of how can we reach more people to tell a better story and to let people in our community and regionally. I mean, the expectation for the audience on February 22nd to come and enjoy this is really a regional impact.
And I couldn't agree more. And I think you are like a community meeting house, for the lack of a better term. Your initiatives and vision of bringing this together. And it can't be said that you also, the Manatee Performing Arts Center, just hosted Stephen King here, which he absolutely loved the theater to a sold-out show. It's a beautiful facility. It has all the capabilities to do film a to screen a documentary or to do a live action discussion or theater. So you're covering all the bases, and you're really to be congratulated,
Thank
Janine,
you.
for your efforts and initiatives to outreach and to tie this community together, because this is indeed a focal point for the entire area and the entire region. It's a wonderful performing arts center, and you couldn't ask for a better partner to kick this off than Bob Davis. And Bob, again, as we wind down a little bit, I want you to tell people why it's important for this community to participate in breaking the barriers upcoming on February the 22nd.
Well, as I said before, I believe that it is important to know about your history. And most of the people I play tennis with weekly, I play tennis 3 times a week. Most of the people do not know that there was, although I played in the U.S. Open, most people do not know that prior to my entry and a few others, we were not permitted to play in any tournaments in the USC. And I think it's important to see how far we've come and still how far we have to go. And I think all of the barrier breakers that are going to be here that evening will show you that it was tough. It was challenging, but they kept their nose to the grindstone and they persevered and they succeeded, and anybody can do it with the right focus and determination.
So it's an evening of not only an inspirational documentary, but get a chance to meet up close and to hear from those local barrier breakers who have really made a difference in our community, in our region, and in the country. So Jean, I'm going to give you the last word. So how do people find out? What's the date again? And what are ticket prices?
$30 gets you
Very
a whole,
reasonable.
Yes, thank you. A whole evening of enjoying the exhibit and getting to meet up and close our barrier breakers, the panel discussion, the documentary, and those who would like to stay on February 22nd will also have a screening of the Oscars
There you go.
live on our screen afterwards.
Oh,
So
that's great fun.
we hope that people will come out, be inspired, and enjoy a full evening at a wonderful gatherings place, the Manatee Performing Arts Center, and really take away with them not just a bit of history, but also a portion of inspiration.
And I think that's key, because the Manatee Performing Arts Center, as a theater company, continues to provide that inspiration. And these type of programs that you've initiated and have developed will certainly kind of become that focal point for the community for years to come. And you're really to be congratulated on that. And Bob, again, this is a great initiative. I think I forgot to mention that Bob has also co-authored a book with Nick Bollettieri about Nick's illustrious career. And so you're a published author as well.
We'll have
so.
that book on display that evening as well.
All right. And one final question.
Changing the game.
And the only question I had is that you're hitting balls with Althea Gibson. Did she teach you a thing or two, or?
She taught me to be careful.
Well, we're all anxious to see this documentary and also to participate in the discussion afterwards. And again, congratulations to both of you for doing
Thank
it.
you.
And Janine, again, what a beautiful facility, what a beautiful place. And this really is like a gemstone for Manatee County and the city of Bradenton.
Thank you so much, Charles.
And thank you for joining us on this special on-location edition of Up Close on METV.